Welcome back to the Team Women Leadership Conference Red Carpet. I'm Blythe Whealy, and I'm honored to be joined by Brandi Powell, an Emmy Award-winning journalist. And the first question I want to ask you, Brandi, is how do you create open space for a meaningful conversation?
Well, it's an honor to be here. Thank you. I love that question. I think creating that open space for people to be honest and raw starts with me listening to them. It starts with me trying to find out what commonalities we have. And I think when people feel comfortable with you, they feel more comfortable with themselves, sharing about themselves. And that's when the people in the room really benefit. When they're authentic and they let their walls down, that's when they actually can gain some of those gems that are being dropped, which is what happened today.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You were up there moderating a fireside chat with a couple of ladies on the stage today at the Leadership Conference. Can you tell me about that experience and maybe what you learned throughout that process?
What I learned from them, they are powerhouse women with big hearts. What I learned from them is that as you lead, it's really important to be honest and it's really important to set boundaries. And that doesn't mean that you are not a giving and uplifting leaders. And they showed that through doing that, you can really be in the best place, the most grounded place in your wisdom and your energy. And that at that point, you're able to really give to others in an even stronger and more energetic way, which is really then when you start making an impact and get that ball rolling to whatever it is you're trying to achieve.
And of course, when you think about a leadership conference like this in general, why do you think it's so important in today's day and age?
Listen, there were so many people here today, hundreds of women who came together. What was most impactful and why it's so important is we had a span of generations here, right? So you had people who I like to say are the OGs and who really were gaining some of this kind of fresh sort of wisdom from the younger folks. And I saw some of the younger folks kind of jaws dropping with, okay, I hadn't thought about that. And this respect and admiration. And when you bring that together, this newness and this, authentic kind of a experienced voice, you get something that's new. And I really felt that in the room. It was palpable, that energy of giving and taking from one another. There's nothing like it when you can be face to face in that kind of environment.
And when you think about Team Women's mission, what do you think is impactful and something that you bring with you to your work as a journalist?
The biggest thing here today, Katie is such a phenomenal leader, and all of the leaders that we heard today, one thread was to lead with love, to lead with a compassion, to lead with a gratitude. And so you're trying to get it to wherever it is your goal in the fastest way, the most effective way possible. But if you can add that bit of care to it and the realness, that human quality of getting to know who you're working with, that allows you to uplift them. And then together you can actually make strides even quicker than if you took those components out of it. So that was really powerful, and I think a lot of people learned from that and are feeling empowered by that today through this conference.
What do you think was most different about this type of event than some of the other ones that you do? Was there a reason why you decided to say yes to something like this?
I love being in a group where you have existing leaders and then you have those people who are saying, how do I get there? Because that's when the exchange of conversation really happens. That's when that magic happens. And there were some really young people here today, and they came up and told me, oh my goodness, I heard from that panel you did from, they were young leaders themselves too, but they had a little bit more experience. And then people who had already been there were saying, oh, I learned something from those younger people. So for me to be able to be in a space where you have all of those different generations and people in all different areas. We're talking government, for-profit, nonprofit, all kinds of leaders. I said, I want to be here and be in that magic, that diversity here of these women leaders across Minnesota.
And I have to ask you, if when you're thinking about the younger generation, What's a piece of advice for someone who's maybe looking to get into a career path that you're in? Is there anything that you would tell them?
Listen to your instincts. Listen to your gut. There is so much when you're looking around where you might say, oh, they're doing this and that way. Oh, they're getting that direction that way. That's great. That's great for them. Really hone in. I tell people this all the time on like your gifts. What is it that you feel makes you special? And to just live in that. You don't need to compare. You don't need to go at a rate or a speed that other people do. Stay with your instincts, what feels right to you. That path right there is going to take you to where you are meant to be. And through that, you're going to have the biggest impact on community.
Thank you so much for your honesty and your genuine answers here today. But Brandi Powell, appreciate you joining me on the Team Women Red Carpet.
Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
More red carpet interviews coming up next. Make sure you're sticking around.